It's now time for Crime in the DMV, where we bring you the latest headlines from the week. Thanks for watching. I'm Sierra Fox. We start in Northern Virginia, where police shut down a local park to search for a missing Manasis Park mother. Her husband is still in jail in connection to her disappearance. Fox 5's Manasis Park explains the very latest.
Investigators combed through Signal Hill Park, which is just about 2 miles away from here, looking for evidence in this investigation. People in the community say this is taking too long and they want answers. Across the street from Signal Hill Park stood dozens of community members asking police not to stop looking for their friend, Mamta Koffel.
She's always in our hearts, and it's really important for us as a community
to make their presence known and voices heard.
Bring Mamta home.
Inside the park, Manasis Park police officers and Prince William County search and rescue teams were on foot looking for the body of the 28-year-old mother. In this Sky Fox video, you can see officers searching wooded areas and walking through the fields. Manasis Park Police Chief Mario Lugo says his detectives received some type of information that led them to the park that's about a mile away from Mamta's home.
I'm sick to my stomach. I feel like they're here for a reason. There's something that brought them here.
Chief Lugo says his detectives are processing the items that were collected during Friday's search to see if it's connected to her disappearance.
On one hand, I feel as though this is a really sad thing if we do find her body. But at the end of the day, we need to bring her home to her daughter.
Her 1-year-old Nima, who we're told is safe and with her grandmother, Mamta's mom, who arrived in town from Nepal. Right now, Naresh Bhatt is in jail for concealing her body. No murder charges have been filed. Today, Fox 5 got our hands on court documents that show photo evidence from the couple's home, including bloodstains. As police continue to investigate leads and tips,
keep up the search, MPPD.
This tight-knit community wants the department to know that they won't stop seeking justice for Mamta.
It's important for us to keep the pressure, even as far as the police are concerned. They need to know that this is not something that we are going to say, oh well, to.
And now, as for Naresh Bhatt, he was in court early this week where he waived his rights to preliminary hearing. His next appearance in court is for the grand jury hearing, which is scheduled for October 8th.
An honor procession for a fallen D.C. police officer killed in the line of duty. The body of investigator Wayne David was taken to a Forestville funeral home. Fox 5's Josh Rosenthal shows us how fellow first responders are paying their respects.
D.C. police mourning the loss of one of their own. Investigator Wayne David, a 25-year veteran of MPD, known for getting hundreds of guns off the streets of the district, and who leaves behind a daughter and son.
He's lived his entire life here in the District of Columbia. He grew up here. He was an honorable man. He was one who served with passion. And I want him to be remembered that way.
David was killed Wednesday in Northeast D.C. Officials say that at about 5:40 p.m., officers were in the 4500 block of Quarles Street when they saw a man exit a suspicious vehicle. When they tried to make contact with the man, they say he ran, leaping onto the southbound lanes of 295, placing a gun in a storm drain, and then making his way onto the northbound lanes, where he got away on the back of a motorcycle. We're told David then went to recover the gun before it went off, striking the veteran officer, who was pronounced dead at Washington MedStar Hospital Center later that night.
Wayne is a true hero to the District of Columbia, and today he gave his life to serve the visitors and the residents here in the District of Columbia, and we will never forget that.
As of Friday evening, police continued their search for both the suspect as well as the person riding the motorcycle. They released these photos to the public, with the FBI, ATF, and D.C. police offering up to a $50,000 reward for information leading to the arrest and conviction of the suspect in the case. Here at D.C. Police Headquarters, you can see the flags are flying at half staff. Police are asking anyone with any information about this case to please give them a call.
The Maryland Supreme Court has ordered a do-over of the hearing tossing Adnan Syed's murder conviction. This is just the latest chapter in a legal saga. Fox 5's Katie Barlow breaks it all down.
Adnan Syed was convicted in 2000 for the murder of his ex-girlfriend Hae-Min Lee. Syed has maintained his innocence since he was accused, but he was released in 2022 when prosecutors told a Baltimore judge that the office mishandled evidence when Syed was on trial, including failing to give Syed's defense team evidence of alternative suspects who could have committed the murder. Today, a narrowly divided Maryland Supreme Court ruled that Adnan Syed will have to argue once more for his freedom. The majority reasoned that the victim's family didn't have a fair opportunity to participate in person at that 2022 hearing tossing Syed's conviction. Lee's brother was given notice on a Friday for a Monday afternoon hearing. He lives in California along with the Lee family and couldn't attend in person on such short notice. Lee participated in the hearing via Zoom, telling the court that prosecutors convicted the right person and the continued challenges were, quote, a living nightmare over and over again. Prosecutors notified the judge that during Syed's trial in 2000, they did not provide his defense team with evidence that they had suggesting an alternative suspect could have murdered Hae-Min Lee. That included evidence about one of the alternative suspects that later engaged in multiple instances of rape and sexual assault of vulnerable victims after Syed was convicted. The 4-3 court ultimately held that families of crime victims have a right to participate in these types of hearings about whether to toss a conviction. They have the right to reasonable notice that the hearing is happening and to attend in person, but they don't have the right to put up their own evidence or witnesses opposing the tossing of the conviction. They can simply speak themselves or through counsel. Now, the case goes back to the circuit court in Baltimore, where a different judge will hold a new hearing on whether to vacate Syed's conviction.
2 people are dead after an early morning shooting in Sterling, Virginia. The violence erupted at an office complex near apartments. Fox 5's Lily Zhang has an update.
This is where it all kind of started, an apartment complex here in Sterling. We are told that an argument happened somewhere outside. Then we are told that the 2 victims apparently walked around this area by a fence. You can see parts of this area are still taped off here this evening. Now, police tell us that that is when these shots were fired. This area, we're told, is normally pretty safe, according to a neighbor. He lives steps away. He says, in fact, it's so little crime that he's experienced that he has no problem occasionally just letting his children walking to the bus stop by themselves.
The second one in the middle school, like 8 something he left, and the other one in the high school, he left like 9 o'clock, nothing, because I don't have any, if I have any idea about anything like this happen, maybe I don't let them go to school, because this is the first time. I don't know if it previously happened, but this is the first time to hear about this.
Now, this man says that he left home around 4 this morning to take his wife to the airport. When he got back later in the morning, this area was covered with police. They were here until about 12:30 this afternoon investigating a double homicide. At least one car was seen being towed away, though it is unclear if it is actually connected to the shooting. The victims have been identified as Mijal Canejero Ramira and Diego Alexander Willett. Both, we are told, were 22 years old. Police say someone who lives in the apartments by Huntington Square called 911 around 4:30 in the morning. 3 minutes later, police arrived to find the 2 victims near a fence by an office parking lot nearby. They had been shot.
Well, that's my concern. It appears from everything that we see so far that it's a targeted shooting. But it does concern me that we have that person that committed this crime is still on the loose. So that's why we need to have the public help us with trying to determine who this person actually is, and then that way we can kind of go after them and make sure we get that person locked up and behind bars.
Now, authorities do add it is too early to determine exactly what led up to this shooting, so they are asking anybody if they perhaps witnessed it or if they know anything about it to please contact law enforcement.
It has been 10 years since the disappearance of Sarah and Jacob Hoggle. Their mother at one time was charged for their murders. It's one of the more troubling missing person cases this region has ever experienced. Fox 5's Bob Barnard has more on a special report he's working on.
Here's part of our first story on this case from September 9th, 2014.
This is Catherine Hoggle. She's 27 and, according to police, suffers from schizophrenia. And these are her missing children, 3-year-old daughter Sarah and 2-year-old son Jacob. Russ Hamill is Assistant Montgomery County Police Chief.
We need the eyes and ears of the community to help us find these 2 little children and bring them safely home.
Montgomery County Police say Sarah Hoggle was last seen with her mother here at the family's home in Clarksburg Monday at dawn. Jacob was last seen Sunday afternoon around 1 p.m. with his mother, leaving her parents' house in Gaithersburg. Catherine disappeared last night after grabbing something to eat at this fast food restaurant next to the Germantown Transit Center, while she and the children's father were on their way to a nearby police station to report their son and daughter missing.
What I want to do is just, get them back. I want people to know, what they look like. So we're running a lot of flyers around. A lot of people have helped out on social media, and I appreciate all that.
The children's bodies were never found despite many searches. Catherine Hoggle was charged with murder, but she's repeatedly been determined to be incompetent to stand trial. So after 5 years, those murder charges were dropped. She remains locked up at a Maryland State Mental Hospital. State's Attorney John McCarthy says he's often asked if the Hoggle case is one of the most significant in his long career as a prosecutor in Montgomery County.
It's certainly the most frustrating, only because that we've worked in this a long time. I think, like, the community became interested in this case. I mean, obviously, the missing two beautiful young kids missing, the body's not found. It's something the community has an interest in. And I think it's something in which the community wants at least the answer in terms of guilt or innocence as relates to Catherine, even if the recovery of the children is not going to happen.
Well, that does it for this week's Crime in the DMV. Make sure you tune in next week to stay ahead with Fox 5 right here on Fox Local as we continue to bring you the latest updates.